Hello, everybody. Today I thought I would cover something that's a little bit different, a little bit off topic, something I haven't covered before, but I think is useful. A few nights ago, me and Jessica were out having dinner with some good friends of ours, and the topic of Bible study came up, and uh, and this is something that we don't really talk about too much about how to study the Bible or different ways to study the Bible. And at some point, I'm going to do that, but right now I'm in my Sunday school rotation here at church, and so I taught the youth all through January, and then February and March, most of March, I'm going to be teaching the adults. So I'm in my Sunday school rotation here at church. I'm going to be teaching the adults in February and March, most of March. And I thought I'd show y'all all this week. I'm going to do 5 different videos about how it is that I typically get ready for a Sunday school lesson. Not everybody's in a teaching setting where they do where they have to teach. Most people are asking about a study. I will cover that at a later date, but I just wanted to show you kind of my thought process and how I do it. Now, there's not a right or wrong way. I think the most important thing is to figure out how it is that you learn. And you don't really know how you learn, I don't think, unless you try it all the ways. And so I've just found that this is the best way for me. I fully understand that most people are probably not this way. A lot of people learn, they have to read stuff or they have to write down stuff. And I'm not necessarily that way. I can learn by those ways. I do understand that some people learn different ways, and that's fine. I'm just going to walk you through my process, and maybe that'll help you get a glimpse of how I do things. So let's jump into it. Right here on my screen, I have Google Drive pulled up. So at our church, all of our lessons, we upload them to Google Drive, so that way everybody has access to them. So you can see on the screen here, we have the date, the column, the lesson number. That's a back end thing that we don't really have to pay attention to. Then we have the scriptures that we're going over that day, and then we have all the teachers up here for the different age groups. And so I'm gonna be an adult, so you can see February 7th through March 21st, I'm going to be teaching the kids. And you see here, I'm supposed to be teaching the youth again this coming Sunday, but I like being in the last few classes of the people that come before me, so that way I can see whatever it is that they were doing, see what they got right, what they got wrong, if there's things that I might need to cover that maybe I didn't understand that I need to clarify, because if I didn't understand it, there's a good chance that somebody else didn't understand it. And so I do like to look over that. Right here through January was a good place to kick off, because before that we did Jesus's birth and all that stuff. And now, since January 10th, we've been talking about the ministry of Jesus. So Jesus getting baptized, Jesus calling his first disciples, displaying this authority, so on and so forth. You can see it through here. So because I've taught all these lessons in January, I'm really familiar with them. So this couldn't used to happen, but it's something I do now and intending to do, is going back and watch. So Mr. Tim was teaching all of these lessons for the adults. So I've seen a couple of them, but I'm going to go back and watch all of his lessons that he's taught so far. So that way, not only can I build my own lesson, but I can build upon his as well. On the 31st, I'm just going to be sitting in his class. I'm going to be listening to the way he talks and everything. A lot of times when I'm getting ready to teach Sunday school, I'll go at the end of their lesson, go before the class and tell them, hey, I'm about to be teaching y'all for the next so-and-so weeks. And I always tell them what the homework is for next week, So I give them the scripture and tell them to read. So that's the basis of it, figuring out what we're gonna teach. If you look at these schedules, you see you have Matthew, then you have Mark, and then you have a scripture from John, then you have Mark again, Mark again, Mark again, Mark again, Mark, and then a couple of Johns and a Mark. And so we go from Mark 1 all the way through Mark 12. So what I typically do the first couple of days is not study it at all. So it looks like most of my lessons for the next couple of months are going to be in Mark. And trust me, I've already started this process, but I'm going to start it anew with y'all. And so, because we're going through from Mark 1 through Mark 12 in the lessons that I'm studying, or the lessons that I'm presenting, then the first couple of days, I read and listen to that segment of scripture over and over and over again, right? And so, in a couple of days, I'll read it. I'll read that section of scripture maybe 3 or 4 times, depending on how long it is. Mark 1 to 12 is pretty lengthy set of scriptures, but I'll read through it all a couple of times. And usually, or not usually, a lot of times when I'm reading through it, I also listen to it. So you can see here, I'll pull up my YouTube music page, music.youtube.com. It has all my uploaded files. And so I'll go through here and click on Gospels. That's not what I should do. So I'll go through here and click on Gospels, and then click on Mark, and then I'll play Mark 12 Mark 1 through 12 over and over and over again. So in 2 or 3 days, I'll read the scriptures 3 or 4 times all the way through, and then I'll listen to it probably 10 or 15 times. So that way, and here's the reason why I do that, because I want just the word without me putting anything into it. I do think about it. You can't stop yourself from thinking about it, but I do want to listen to the just the word. I want to find out what the word is saying, and especially by listening to it over and over and over again, I'm able to retain and pick up certain aspects of the scripture. So, my wife makes fun of me and my son all the time because we do this a lot. Like, we can hear a song 1 or 2 times and sing it. Now, we do get some of the words wrong and all that kind of stuff, but we have a very good listening to comprehension skill. So, I will listen to the whole section of scripture several times over several numbers of days. Most times when I'm reading scripture, I almost always read one translation, and then when I'm listening to this, it's just the one translation that I'm listening to. And the reason that's beneficial to me, because words are very important in the Bible, and if a certain set of words is used, like a phrase or something like that, to me it's easier to pick up if I'm not switching different translations and so on and so forth. So if you study and read and all that kind of stuff out of one translation, then a lot of times, most times, the words that they choose to use, the specific words, will be the same in several different places. And so that helps me, if I'm listening to it, and I can say, man, like a few months ago when I was studying for this sounds like this, and I can connect those dots mentally, instead of having to do a study and relying on someone else to relay that information to me. That'll make sense. Maybe not in this video, but in the next video. So again, so I'll listen to this over and over and over again. When I'm in the car, I'll be listening to this, for the first couple of days to get all the context about it. So what would be easy to do would be, so this coming week, the lesson is Jesus demonstrates his authority, Mark 1, 21 through 28. So what would be easy to do, and what I think some people do, is I'm just going to read that set of scriptures. And if there's some leading into it, I might read a couple of verses that lead into it. And if it looks like it's interesting, I might read a couple of verses after it. But that's the extent of my study. But I like to start off knowing the whole entire section of scripture. That way I know everything that came before it, and or as much as can come before it that's reasonable, and then what's leading up to it. Because here we have Jesus demonstrates his authority. The next lesson we had Jesus heals, prays, and preaches. Next lesson we had Jesus calms the storm. And then next lesson, 4 friends help a paralyzed man. And so all of those are Jesus demonstrates his authority. So I need to know what I also need to know what's coming up, so that way I don't I don't I don't want to say exhaust, but I don't let all the cats out of the bag and Jesus demonstrates his authority, because I have at least, at least 3 or 4 more weeks that I have to cover pretty much that same topic. And so that's the way I cover days 1 and 2 pretty much. I'll stop the video here, and tomorrow I'll release another video and let you know how I'm going to switch it up. And I will say, like this, I say 2 or 3 days before, when I know when I'm going to be teaching typically, and so I will start preparing a month or two before sometimes, when I'm going to be doing this. So this for y'all's sake, I'm just going to say a day or two before, but in reality, I'll typically do this type of thing for 2 or 3 weeks, every day, listen to the whole of Scripture, trying to get the Scripture where I can almost memorize it, where I can almost recite it if I needed to. So that way, when I get before the people, I know what the Scripture is saying. Now, interpretation is a different topic that we'll cover at a different time, but so that way if somebody says something in a comment, because I like my Sunday schools to be really active, and a lot of feedback and everything, but if somebody says something that's quite not right, I immediately catch on to it, because I've almost memorized what the Scripture is saying, or sometimes I have memorized the whole Scripture. So I'm gonna cut this video off today. I hope this was informative. Subscribe to the video, and I'm going to be doing this all week. I'm going to do 4 more videos like this going through this week, and I will catch y'all guys later. Bye.